qualifications, assisted the king in his wars. It is possible that they must have assumed direct charge of the minor wars. The Kadamba army was trained in guerrilla methods. Their success over the Pallava frontier guards was largely due to the employment of this method. Forts played an important part in ancient warfare. The capital city of the empire and the provincial headquarters were surrounded with impregnable forts. In Aihole inscription Ravikirti praises the Banavasi fort highly. The Kadambas appear to have maintained a large and well-equipped army which was augmented by feudal levy. Financial administration. In their financial administration Kadambas followed the principles laid down in the Smritis. They did not burden the people with heavy taxes. Land tax constituted the major source of revenue to the state. Among other sources may be mentioned tax on oil presses, beasts of burden, betel leaf and salt. The spoils of war represented a recognizable source of revenue to the state. In short, the Kadambas followed a sound financial policy. A noteworthy feature of the Kadamba administration is the role played by village panchayats. They were autonomous units free from the interference of the state. We do not know anything about its composition and functions. An inscription of the Kada Bass informs us that the people of a certain village met at a place to take decision in an extraordinary manner. It may be presumed that they maintained law and order in the village and also decided village disputes. In a word, the Kadambas evolved administrative institutions which served the interests of both the state and the subjects. Social and economic conditions. The structure of the Kadamba society was based on Kachur-Vanya system. The migration of the foreigners into the Deccan and their Indianization must have created confusion in the social order. This explains why Mayuravarma invited Brahmanas from Ahichatra, in Rohilkhand, and settled them in Tulunadu. It is worthy to note here that the existing Brahmana divisions such as Shivali, Haga, Sahavasi, Vairabhananju and Sarasvatha have a northern origin. The other castes that existed in the earlier period continued to occupy the same old status and position in society. But there was complete harmony among the different castes. The joint family system was the common feature and it was patriarchal. There was freedom for women in society. They associated themselves with the charities made by their husbands and at times made grants independently too. Generally marriages were arranged by the parents of the couples, although love marriages were not unknown. Monogamy was the general practice. The food of the people consisted of rice, wheat, gram, vegetables, milk and its products, and the flesh of animals like the sheep. The Brahmanas did not eat meat, but drank soma during sacrifices. The dress and ornaments of the people did not vary much from the early period. The use of mirrors is indicated by the sculptures in the temple at Diga. People spent their leisure usefully listening to the discourses on Purana, Bharata and Bhagavata conducted regularly in the mathas and agraharas, and witnessing dance, drama and musical recitals. Instrumental and vocal music was familiar to the people. Musical instruments like the veena and flute were known. Land continued to be the basis of economy. It was classified under different categories depending on the fertility of the soil. There were three kinds of tenures, the Sarvanamasya, the Trabaha and the Talavriti. The holder of the first tenure paid tax at the making of obeisance to the god. The second type was enjoyed by the private persons, gods and brahmanas jointly, 19 and the third type must have been enjoyed by those who performed public duties in the villages. Lands were surveyed and measured regularly. Though agriculture was the basis of the economy, there were flourishing cities and urban life was known. Among the cities of this period mention may be made of Golakapuri, Belagami, Banavasi, Halasi and Velugrama, Belgaum. Inland trade was in the hands of Vairabhanajigas. Kadambas had trade contact with western countries. Arabian merchants had their establishments at Goa, Mangalore, Honavar, Ankola. Goa and Chaul were the important port towns. Industries of the area were mostly domestic in nature. Spinning, weaving, stonework, brass and iron works, woodworks, jewelry, basket making and oil pressing were some of the important domestic industries. In the history of Indian numismatics, the Kadambas have left a deep impress, taking a bold definite step which became a model too.